Duane was a musician's musician. He was in it for life. He was a real player. He wasn't, he didn't get off on the adulation of being the big rock star. He was in it for the music. He could play. He could play.
If you had to look for a single person that really established what was to become the genre of rock and roll called Southern rock, it would have to be Duane Allman. He was the keystone in the building of that whole Southern rock and roll era.
He just had an aura. He had an incredible amount of leadership musically. He could make you play better than you ever thought you could play, and he just pushed you.
Duane Allman was a young Southern white guitar player who was steeped in the same influences as the blues guitar players, and consequently he played authentic country, funk, and authentic blues, because he learned the music, the same sources that the black people learned it from. And he didn't have to learn from phonograph records, you know? And his influences were the same influences that influenced them. He was a magnificent slide guitar player. Duane Allman and his music were very personal to me.
John Hammond, Bill Walden, Bill Cannell, Jerry Wexler. Some famous names, some not. Theirs are among the voices you'll hear tonight as we think about the life and times of Duane Allman. It's hard to believe it's been 20 years since the motorcycle wreck took him down in Macon, Georgia. Tonight, people who knew him well will talk to you about Duane Allman, and we'll play for you some of the music that Duane Allman created. We'll try to let his friends tell the story to you, and we'll let the songs paint the picture. Songs like this classic from 1971, about which his friend, the bluesman John Hammond, remembers.
He says, man, you know that Taj Mahal song, Statesboro Blues? I said, Taj Mahal didn't write Statesboro Blues. I said, that's blind Willie McTell.
Before there were the Allman Brothers, there were the Allman Joys. And this is the drummer for that band, Bill Cannell.
First of all, I think it's probably curious where I met Duane, and that was at an R&B concert in Mobile, Alabama, at the Coliseum there. It was this gigantic R&B concert with Otis Redding and Joe Tex and Sam and Dave and Billy Stewart and just a fabulous array of R&B artists. The two guys I was with, Tippy Armstrong and Johnny Townsend and myself, thought we were the only three white people among several thousand, and we ran into Duane and Maynard, the drummer, with the Allman Joys at that time, and that's how we met. A few months later, the Allman Joys came to Tuscaloosa to play a fraternity gig, and they were wanting to get rid of their drummer, and they got in touch with me through Tippy Armstrong. I forget how they ran into Tippy on the street or something that day. And anyway, they wanted me to leave and go with them to New York that night, and I still had 3 months of high school left to go, and I wouldn't do it. And Duane said, we'll have you a ticket the night you graduate, and they flew me to New York, and I started working with them in the Village the night after I graduated. A place called Trudy Heller's, and we were on the bill with Monty Rock III. In that little club, I can remember meeting Eric Clapton, and I can remember Brian Jones and the Rolling Stones coming in. It was a shell shock for me at 17 years of age.
This is Ed Shane with Duane Allman. Well, everything influences, as you go along. You pick up stuff. You just can't help it. It's how you learn to talk, You just hear your folks talking, whatever you hear, that's how you talk. So it's like, that's just how people are. So we've all been involved with music, I guess, since, our early teens.
Yeah.
And it's just, stuff just soaks into you, Like, the British approach to the blues, certainly was a lot fresher than anything that anybody was, had any access to. Back, I guess when I was younger, when we were doing like Beatles songs and stuff like that.
Duane and Greg had ran into a guy named John D. Loudermilk, which I'm sure you're familiar with, in Nashville. And John had said, if you'll come to Nashville, I'll get you a deal, and we'll cut some sides. We packed up and got out of town under darkness at about 3 o'clock in the morning, so we wouldn't have to pay our hotel bill because we didn't have any money, and left for Nashville. And drove all the way straight to Nashville, and as soon as we got there, John D. set us up some sessions, and we started recording, and picked us up a deal with Dial Records with Buddy Killick. And that was the first label, I guess, the Allmans were on. But, believe it or not, the first sessions that I did with them, and that I guess we did as a band, was at Boutwell Studios in Birmingham. Spoonful was the first song of the first session that we did at Bradley's Barn. And we used to do those sessions out at Bradley's Barn. We would play till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then we'd have to be out at the barn at 8 or 9 o'clock the next morning to record. It's really kind of hard to get it together that early after being up all night playing. And